Hey peeps, Amy here, and I'm working on that video today that I said I would put out there for you regarding a mini class. So for today, this will not stretch out to 15 minutes, but I'm going to give you some things to do that should cover that amount of time. So for now, no music in the background, you're just going to hear me yammer. Well, the first thing you want to do is get a hoop that you're comfortable with, and today I'm working in my big water hoop. And the reason I'm working in my big water hoop is it's going to give me more time and space to work and continue to move, whereas if I'm in my smaller hoop, then I'll be more fatigued sooner. So if your goal is to get a little bit stronger, maybe feel that core, get a little more engaged in your life, then the hooping, waist hooping for any amount of time is really where you might want to be at. So I'm going to talk about 3 things today, basically. The core movements, below the waist movements, which I did another video on, and I'll just back up in the screen for that one, and then above the waist, and then basically the ability to go from here to here, moving the hoop up and down from here to here, moving that solar plexus, and making that work for you. All right, so I'm going to start with that waist hooping. I'm going to take my hoop, it's a little bit heavy because it is a water hoop, and some of you have a water hoop. I'm going to get it parallel to the ground. I'm going to back up just a wee bit more. Parallel to the ground, and I'm going to give this hoop a nice push across my belly. If you are still having some issues with that push, I'm going to take a minute right here to explain that. My elbows are down, they're close to my body. My hands, the hoop is resting on them. I can be like this, just push that hoop up to get parallel to the body. And then I'm going to give this a nice push across my body. All right, so now I'm going to talk about that push again. I'm going to come a little closer for that. I'm actually going to drop that hoop. So that push, your hands are like this. And I see some people, they take that hoop, they push it across, and they just fling it. And you can get a lot of energy into flinging, but that also can help the hoop kind of flail and go different directions. And really what you want is you want a nice firm push across your belly, engage into your hip. I don't need to fling it into my body, just a nice solid push. And I'll actually have people do this activity so that they can feel that hand engage, because really that's what you're looking for. That hand to engage, the hoop's going to be between your hand and your body, and give it a nice push. Now the reason I'm doing both sides is because, of course, we talk about going both directions when you are working with a hula hoop so that you're engaging your core the same way in both directions. You'd never go into the gym and do a dumbbell on your favorite side only. You would do it on your non-favorite side, and chances are this non-favorite side, the side that's weaker, the side that bothers you more, may actually need a little more work because you tend to do everything with one hand. So now I'm going to pick up that hoop, and we're going to do that push again. So I'm going to do that push, I'm going to engage, and I'm sitting into my knees just a little bit, nice and soft. My back is nice and straight, and I'm giving a push and engaging into the side. Now I'm going to turn and do that one more time. I'm going to give it a nice push, parallel to the ground, push into the body. Okay? Now I'm going to show you what that fling looks like so that you can see it. A fling is when I just go. Now for me it stays, I tried to make it fall down. For me it stays around because I'm sort of used to the hoop. But if I really fling this, it'll go all wonky, okay? And that's what I see some people doing. And the reason is you're so excited, you want to give that hoop energy and make it stay up. But really it's that nice solid push that gives it what it needs to rotate around your body, because really this is science. If I just fling it around me, it may catch somewhere on my body, but I want to give it a nice solid push so it stays in the middle of my body and I'm the pivot point. You need to give it the right energy because you're the pivot point, okay? Now some people say, well, Amy, am I too large for this? No, you are not. If you have a little bit of a waist, a little bit of a belly, you still just need to find what we call your sweet spot. All right, so if you have a little bit of belly, sometimes I have people who are actually hooping just under the girls, on the chest, just under the chest, right here, so that they're not under. On the contrary though, I have some people who have a little belly who are more of the hip hoopers, and they get it right under the belly, which is just awesome. But if you have a little weight on you, you can do this, all right? That's what hula hooping is all about. It's so great because you can do it whether you are tall, short, large, small, all kinds of great things. So, and all kinds of levels. That's why I love it. So now we're going to talk about this. I got the hoop going, and I want to move it up and down my body. So to do that, I'm going to go to my hips first. I'm going to slow that hoop down by slowing my movement down, and I'm going to let it go to my hips. Once I hit my hips, it becomes more of that groovy swivel, okay? Groovy swivel. All right, I tell people, get groovy. This is the groovy. It's moving those hips in a circular motion. Now I'm going to bump it back up and get it right back to my sweet spot. All right? I'll let it drop one more time. Slow it down. Get groovy with it. It's on my hips. Super-de-duper. Then I'm going to bring it back up to my sweet spot, right in the middle. Now I want to move it up a little. I'm going to bring it up by imagining a new line right here on my rib cage, and I'm just going to bring it up to that new spot on my rib cage. Now if you have a weighted hoop or a big hoop that's a little clunky, you're going to feel that on your ribs a little bit, okay? Just saying, you're the pivot point. It is a contact sport. And then let it go back to your sweet spot. I'm going to kick it up a little. I kind of get into it, and I use my rib cage to sort of pull it up a little. And then I'm going to let it go down. I'm going to show you those two moves from the side so you can see that. I'm going to let that hoop go down. Get groovy. Get that swivel going in my hips. Bring it back up. Now I'm going to bring it up. I'll move my arms out of the way so you can see that. Bring it up onto that rib cage just a little bit. New line, and then let it go back down. All right, there we go, people. So now the next thing I'm going to talk about, see, we're already at 5 minutes here. All right, so if you're just listening to me talk, working on bringing it up and down your body, that's super, because what you should do next, you should really go to that reverse direction right now, and that means pushing it the other way. And letting it drop onto your hips, getting that groovy swivel into it. It just bumps back up. Getting it onto that rib cage, keeping it up there as long as you can, and letting it go back. So if you work that drill up and down for 5 minutes, you're gonna feel it. If you go into your outflow, it might be that you're just working on getting your outflow going. So do the drill in one direction, do the outflow the other way. Next up, people, here we go. I'm gonna stay in this direction. Let's talk about just getting those arms out there, all right? So then move to the other two videos I did, which were about the arms. So for this one, I'm gonna take my arms and I'm just doing a shift. Arms out. This may be your challenge, people, for some of you. Arms up. Arms out. I remember when I first started, this was a challenge for me. Arms up. I'm like, the hoop wanted to fall every single time, and I'm currently in outflow, and then out. And I didn't start this when I first started hooping. When I first started hooping, I was alone, either in the driveway, the basement, hula hooping, and I was just watching a show. So I would just make the hoop go around my waist. I had no idea that once I added the arms to it, it would be a different story. So just moving up and down, and do this in inflow and outflow. All right, now I'm going to take those arms, leave them out, and I'm just going to bring them forward and back, forward and back, forward and back, forward and back. So I should call this a video that's getting you ready to do a workout. So I'm going to call this the pre-15-minute workout tips and tricks to get your stamina going. Okay, how's that sound? I think that's a good idea. And now I'm going to take these, I'm going to muscle up and stretch out. 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 Good. I feel my shoulders are ready, people. That means I haven't been working out enough. And last, this is one of my favorites. I had a friend who called this the Whittler move. And I'm going to twist and look out over my shoulder and come back to center. Twist look out over my shoulder, and come back to center. All right? So those are some movements you can do above the waist. RT, reaching out for one side, coming back to center, reaching out to the other side, coming back to center. I don't think I did that today. Arms up and out, arms forward and back, and then twist, and then twist. Now the fancy footwork, it's gonna be a little harder to see. I don't have my camera girl with me, but I'm gonna work to just give you some of those steps right now from afar, and I'm sorry about that. So with the waist hooping and foot movements, there's two things you can do, and actually there's a number of things you can do. You can narrow your base, which becomes more abs, more core, and work in this positioning. All right? You can take that foot out, riding your base, and you can do it all day long, people. Now, you can work on that movement together. You can bring that foot in, step to the other side. 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 And then I'm going to bring my feet back to center. Now, for those of you who are new at this, and this is really a video about that, I'm going to put one foot out in front. I still have my weight on this side. This foot is out in front. I'm touching with my toe. I'm going to turn to the side for that. Weight on this side, toe out in front, just resting. Okay? Then, of course, recovery. I'm going to shift my weight to this side and put a toe out in front. Shift, and then toe back out in front. Now, if you're taking it up a notch, you can change feet and just get a rhythm going with the hoop. Now I'm just going to stay with this type of a movement because if you want to take it up a notch, there's a number of things you can do with just this movement. You can pick it up, down. Same type of movement, up on one foot, down. 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 Now, if you want to, you can add the arms to this. So I'm going to go back to that side step movement, and I'm going to take my arms out, together, out, together, out, together. Go to the other side, out, together, out, together, out, and together. Now I'm going to walk towards you. So right now we're roughly at about 15 minutes and you can see that it goes very quickly. So for those of you who are new at this and working on adding hooping to your life, I hope I've given you some tips to work with, some movements to do that will take your core and work it a little bit harder, and some movements that'll help it be more of a full body workout. Next up for tomorrow, I believe I am working on some arm movements. And for my peeps who live life a little seated and you're working on moving a hoop, that's next on my list. I was honored enough to work with a lovely lady at the Wall Seminar who was seated, and she just said, I want to move a hula hoop. And so we found a way to move a hula hoop, and one of my goals now is to bring some joy to people's lives, even if they are not able to stand in a hula hoop. Can we sit in a hula hoop and have some fun? Yeah, I think we can. And I'm going to work some movement into this along with some fun into this. So for my seated videos, I'm going to do some short, brief ones, add a little music to them, post them up, and hope that there's some fun for some people who think the hula hoop is as groovy as I do, and we can get moving in another way. So yay, because you know what, half of this, it's working out, but it's having fun and feeling young again. So my goal is to bring that feeling young again and having fun to a new level. Yay!